Before we jump into the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let's see if we can hit 5,000 likes on this video. It might sound like a lot, but I believe in you. You can make it happen. The drama begins with Arin waking up from a restless sleep. Her face is heavy with a sadness she can't shake, the kind that settles deep in your bones. She moves slowly to the window and peers outside. That's when she notices something strange. Every person walking past has a thin red line hovering above their head. She starts to speak to us in a quiet voice, almost as if she's confessing something she's never told anyone. "Since I was a little girl, I've always seen these red lines," she explains. "I used to sit alone, sketching strange, faceless shapes that seemed to wrap around each other. I couldn't understand them back then, but I remember the day it all started to make sense, the day my mother found out my father was cheating. She screamed at him right there in front of me. I didn't cry or say a word. I just stood there, watching them tear each other apart." As she grew older, Arin began to realize that the red lines weren't just some weird trick of her imagination. They were real, symbols of secret connections between people, hidden bonds no one else could see. And the longer the line stretched, the closer disaster seemed to come. It was this burden that had driven her to try ending her life more than once, but every time she failed. So she finally made a decision. If she couldn't die, she would have to understand why she saw these lines, and whether there was anyone else in the world like her. One afternoon, her neighbor stopped by to drop off some food. As always, Arin felt her heart race when she noticed countless red lines above the woman's head, proof she had shared deep, intimate ties with many people. The neighbor didn't say much. She just set the food down and quietly left, but where that Arin never stepped outside. Arin ate quickly, feeling the same emptiness that never seemed to fade. Meanwhile, Detective Han, a sharp and determined investigator, was driving to the police station. Not far away, in a high school classroom, a girl named Soo-hyuk was enduring a nightmare. A group of girls had cornered her, beating her until she could barely move. Their leaders sneered at her, reminding her that her uncle was the chief of police, and that made her a target. They dragged her by the hair toward the rooftop, threatening to throw her off. Back in Han's world, he was looking into the murder of a 29-year-old woman who lived alone and had been found dead under mysterious circumstances. All they knew was that her last meal came from an untraceable delivery service. Han suspected poisoning. That evening, while the team tried to piece together what happened, they began to believe the food delivery man could be the killer. He had always seemed a little unstable. News of the woman's death hit the airwaves, and Arin watched the broadcast, stunned. On the screen, she could see that the victim had only a single red line above her head. That same night, she heard a knock on her neighbor's door. She felt a cold certainty that the man standing there was the killer they were searching for. For the first time in her life, she charged her phone and called the police. But as soon as someone picked up, she froze. Her vision blurred under a blizzard of red lines, and she hung up, overwhelmed. The next morning, Soo-hyuk asked her uncle for money, trying to hide the bruises on her face. He handed her the cash without question, unaware of what she was going through. At the same time, Han's assistant called to tell him about the girl who had called the police but hung up before giving any details. Han drove straight to the building. When Arin opened the door and saw Han standing there, she felt her chest tighten. Above his head were so many red lines they looked like a tangled web. Her neighbor appeared behind him and told Han that Arin was the most isolated person in the entire city. She warned him that she would never speak, but Han refused to give up. He knocked again and again until Arin finally cracked the door open. She mumbled an apology, saying she'd called by mistake, then shut the door in his face. That night, a man wearing a helmet appeared outside her door. At the same time, Soo-hyuk spotted a wealthy-looking woman and tried to follow her to steal her purse, but failed. She overheard some boys nearby, talking about money. Meanwhile, Han was deep into another case, the murder of a woman named Dong. He'd just learned she had an ex-boyfriend who might be connected to her death. In the middle of this, Han's phone rang. The hospital was calling. His father had climbed onto the rooftop and was threatening to jump. Han raced over, heart pounding, and found his father standing at the ledge, ready to let go. On his way home afterward, Han got another call, this time from a detective friend. But before he could answer, the helmeted man emerged from the shadows, attacking Han with brutal force. He tied him up, then stared into a mirror, whispering, "That's it. We're now one." Finally, the helmeted man turned and walked straight into Arin's neighbor's apartment. Arin watched through her window, her entire body trembling. She knew she had to run. Grabbing a sharp object, she left her apartment and staggered down the hall. But as she reached the stairwell, fear crashed over her like a wave. She collapsed, unable to move, and saw a vision of her mother reaching out to her across a dark chasm. She tried to take her hand, but then everything went black. Somewhere else, the helmeted man was standing in front of the woman he loved. He removed his glasses and looked up. Above her head, there were more red lines than he'd ever seen before. Realizing she's been unfaithful, the man's anger consumes him. He lashes out in a blind rage, grabbing her by the throat and beginning to strangle her. But before things go further, Arin appears. Her sudden presence stuns him. For a split second, he hesitates, but then grabs a knife and stabs Han. In a desperate struggle, the girlfriend fights back, trying to stop him. Back at Hyan's apartment, Detective Han arrives and is taken aback by the disturbing drawings covering her walls. Through the window, he spots the violent confrontation happening in the apartment across the way. Without wasting time, he pulls out his gun, ready to intervene. But before he can take the shot, Hyan steps in and stabs the killer herself. Only it's not enough. He doesn't go down. It's Han's bullet that finally ends it. As the man lies dying, he whispers, almost in disbelief, the line, "It disappeared." An ambulance arrives moments later, but Hyan can't stop thinking about what he said. Still haunted by his final words, Hyan asks Han who the man was and why he said that. Han looks at her and replies, "I'll tell you everything." At the station, just as they begin to talk, Sion walks in. She notices Han immediately and blurts out, "Wait, why are you wearing black sunglasses indoors?" That raises eyebrows. Han, confused, asks if Sion and Hyan already know each other. Later, Han visits Sion at home. He gently tries to get her to talk about school and what she's been going through, but she brushes him off. His concern grows, and frustration starts to show. But just as he's about to leave, Sion says something unexpected. "That girl from earlier, her name's Hyan. We were in elementary school together." She pauses, then quietly adds, "Her mom killed her dad when we were little. Then she just vanished." Meanwhile, Hyan sits quietly, alone in her apartment. Something in her shifts. She takes off the black sunglasses she's been hiding behind all this time. She's done running. She wants to return to life, to face the world as she truly is. But before she can take that step, her phone buzzes. A message appears from an unknown number. "Come to the high school. I know everything about you." The next day, at school, the teacher is running late. A student named June walks in and hands over a few important documents. The teacher thanks him, admitting she would have forgotten without his help. Another classmate walks up, teasing June and calling him class president. He laughs and replies, "I'm not even in your class." They both laugh, breaking the tension for a moment. At the same time, Sion walks the school halls nervously, feeling overwhelmed. She escapes to the rooftop, needing to breathe. Meanwhile, Hyan is still thinking about that strange message. She stares at an old photo of herself with her grandmother. Then, with a deep breath, she pulls down all the papers covering her windows. She's ready for change. When Sion finally gets to class, she's horrified. Her bully has drawn a cruel, humiliating picture of her on the wall, surrounded by insults. Embarrassed and emotionally crushed, she walks to her desk in silence. Then, it gets worse. She sees her bully reading her personal diary aloud to the class. Sion snaps. She lunges forward to take it back, but the girl fights back and beats her again. Thankfully, the teacher arrives in time to break it up. She pulls Sion aside, trying to calm her, but Sion is done holding it in. "I want to kill her," she mutters, trembling. Deciding she's had enough, Sion leaves school and heads home. On her way out, she notices something lying on the ground, black sunglasses, the same kind the masked man wore, the one who could see red lines. She hesitates, then picks them up. That night, Hyan sits in a quiet office with her colleague. They're not talking about the headlines attacking them for killing the suspect. They're more focused on something deeper. Why did the man kill the women he loved? What was really going on inside his head? Meanwhile, Detective Han visits the killer's home. The walls are covered in chaotic red lines, drawn everywhere. He has no idea what they mean. The entire place feels wrong, haunted, almost. Back at home, Sion finally puts on the sunglasses. She looks in the mirror and gasps. There's one red line above her head. She stares, confused. Then she sees her uncle and freezes. Over his head, dozens of red lines swirl. It's overwhelming. Horrified, she rips the glasses off, screams, and runs into her room. Furious and overwhelmed, Sion storms out of the house, her mind racing. As she walks past strangers on the street, she begins to see the red lines again, those eerie, glowing threads above everyone's heads. Some lines float alone, others stretch between people, revealing hidden relationships no one else can see. Affairs, betrayals, secrets. Every connection is laid bare before her eyes. The next morning, as she's getting ready for school, her uncle offers her a ride. But when she sees the thick red lines circling around him, she feels sick, disgusted by what they imply. She refuses his offer and walks away without a word. At school, something strange happens. She feels empowered. For the first time, she can tell how connected or isolated someone truly is just by looking at them. Then she notices something surprising. Her bully's red line stretches from her all the way to the teacher's room. Curious and suspicious, Sion sneaks into the office and finds the teacher sitting alone. The connection is clear. The bully has a secret relationship with him. A surge of satisfaction rises in Sion's chest. She finally has leverage. She can use this. Later, during class, Arin walks in. The bully keeps glaring at her, smirking, amused by her presence. Meanwhile, Detective Han arrives at the school and begins questioning the teacher. He brings up the murder case, the one involving the serial killer who lived across from Arin. Did that man ever wear glasses? Han asks. The teacher shakes his head. No, I don't think so. I never saw him wear any. Elsewhere on campus, things escalate. The bully slaps Sion across the face, knocking her sunglasses to the ground. Sion quickly picks them up and puts them back on. But when the bully raises her hand to strike again, Sion catches it midair and shoves her to the ground. Just then, Arin rushes in and stands between them. The bully turns her fury on Arin, and the two girls clash. In the chaos, Arin nearly pushes her off the roof. Terrified, the bully stumbles back and flees. Later that day, Sion, still angry, confronts Arin about stepping in. She doesn't want help. At the same time, Han follows a lead and heads to a local nightclub, asking questions about the suspected killer. The bartender recalls him clearly. He came here often, he says. Talked to himself a lot. Always wore glasses. Back at school, the bully secretly snaps a photo of Sion talking with the teacher and sends it to her as blackmail. But Sion is unfazed. She doesn't respond. Instead, desperate for an advantage, she forwards the image to the teacher's wife. The consequences are immediate. The teacher, panicked and sweating, confronts the bully. Later, she spots Sion laughing and taking selfies with her friends. Watching from a distance, the bully is puzzled. How does Sion know so much? How is she always one step ahead? The answer comes moments later when she follows Sion into the bathroom. She pulls out the sunglasses. Can you really see the red lines? She asks. Sion doesn't flinch. Every student has them. And this device, it's dangerous, but the bully doesn't seem to care. She takes the glasses from Sion and walks away, eyes gleaming with curiosity. Later, as they walk together, Sion asks Arin something that's been on her mind. How did you get rid of your red lines? That question pulls Arin back into her past, into the darkest moment of her life. Her mother, standing in the kitchen, discovering her father's betrayal, and then, in a burst of fury, stabbing him. Unbeknownst to them, the bully, Yoon, had been hiding nearby, eavesdropping on everything. After they leave, she sneaks in, steals Sion's bag, and finds the sunglasses inside. When she puts them on for the first time, she gasps. Red lines swirl above everyone's heads, but before she can process it, someone sneaks up behind her and hits her hard on the back of the head. In a panic, Sion calls Arin, voice shaking, and tells her everything. But before she can finish, the line goes dead. She drops her phone, leaves the building, and heads to the school rooftop. There, she meets the teacher. She asks him for the money he promised her in exchange for silence. I'm married, he confesses, barely able to look her in the eye. My wife's pregnant. I already have a child. I don't have that kind of money. He begs her not to ruin him. Then his phone buzzes. His face goes pale. He realizes the photo has already been sent. Desperate, he lashes out at Sion. They struggle. She's confused. She didn't send it. So who did? Meanwhile, Arin is frantically searching the school, calling Sion's name. She finally finds her, lying motionless on the ground below. She's fallen from the rooftop. The red line above her head begins to fade, and Arin knows what that means. She's dying. Arin collapses beside her, crying uncontrollably. But one question echoes through her mind. Who pushed her? Was it the teacher or someone else? She rushes her to the hospital, refusing to accept what's happening. When Han arrives, Arin turns to him, brief uncertainty in her voice. There's no way she tried to kill herself. Someone else is involved. The next day, chaos breaks out. The school principal throws a fit over the scandal. The English teacher vanishes without a trace. No one can find him. Meanwhile, the Korean language teacher visits his sister, preparing to fly out to Canada for a new job. Still unsettled, Han returns to the rooftop, scanning for any clue that might explain what really happened. Another student, Kang, walks up quietly. I'm in your class, he says casually. I figured you'd come here, looking for evidence. Do you think Sion really jumped, or was she pushed? The questions linger, unanswered. Arin stays silent, thoughts racing. Then Jian walks by, wearing glasses, the same kind. Arin stops him in his tracks. Wait, you're wearing glasses now? Arin asked, surprised. Jian smiled casually and shrugged. Oh, these? They're just lenses. Thought I'd try something new. Teacher Kim noticed a pair of glasses on his desk and casually tried them on. Suddenly, his entire view changed. Red threads appeared in the air, stretching above people's heads and forming a web of invisible connections. He couldn't understand what he was seeing, but it felt like the glasses were exposing hidden truths. At the school, Detective Han was investigating Sion's case. When he asked about the student who bullied her, the teacher revealed she'd been missing for days. The security footage showed Yoon calmly stealing Sion's bag, with no signs of guilt or fear. Something felt very wrong. Later that day, Kim had dinner with his sister and her husband. The red lines were still visible. One connected his brother-in-law to someone below their apartment. Then, in the elevator, the man pressed the 4th floor out of habit. That small action confirmed Kim's suspicions. He was hiding something. Han was growing frustrated. The school was rushing to call Sion's death a suicide, refusing to investigate further. No one wanted to deal with the truth, especially if it damaged the school's image. Back at school, Kim had a heart-to-heart with a fellow teacher. Her brutally honest take on betrayal reminded him of his past, his father's affair, and being cheated on by the woman he loved. For the first time, he felt seen. Then, tragedy struck. Intimate photos of the English teacher were leaked. Hours later, he was found dead in his car with a suicide note. Most believed it, but Han sensed something was off. It felt too calculated, like someone had planned it. Han confronted Han, asking why Sion had taken the glasses. She refused to answer directly, only saying he needed to find them first. Her silence left him with more questions. That evening, Kim saw his sister's husband dressed up and driving somewhere suspicious. He followed him to a restaurant and confronted him afterward. The man begged him not to tell his sister. Kim, torn, decided to stay quiet to protect her. But that night, everything fell apart. His sister crashed into the other woman's car. Kim found her broken and crying in the garage. When her husband arrived, he ignored her and went straight to the other woman. Kim lost control and attacked him. His sister stopped him, and the truth came out. The man was never her husband. She had manipulated him for years, living in a fantasy. He had only stayed to avoid chaos. Later, Han returned home, still shaken. He searched his niece's room, desperate for a clue, something, anything, to help him understand what really happened. While searching his niece Sion's room, Han came across a disturbing sketchbook filled with drawings of people connected by red lines. Confused and unsettled, he brought it to Han. She calmly explained the truth. The glasses reveal emotional connections, the invisible bonds between people. Someone had used them to manipulate and kill. Han didn't believe her at first, until she placed the glasses on him and showed him the red lines on his own face. That moment changed everything. Meanwhile, Arin mentioned to her friends at school that she had started a part-time job at a nearby hotel. In the admin office, Choi, a quiet and eccentric staff member, was being scolded for poor work, but her mind wasn't on the report. Choi had never been in a relationship, and unlike others, she saw no red threads above her head. This made her feel invisible, like she didn't matter. Choi vented her frustration by slamming her stapler on her desk. During lunch, she told her coworkers she wanted to be an actress, but they laughed it off. Her strange appearance and behavior made her an easy target. Still, when the music teacher passed by, her face lit up. She had a silent crush on him. That evening, she dressed up in a red dress and wig, and checked into the hotel where Hyun worked, trying to escape her real self. Hyun noticed her but was too tired to care. After work, Hyun went to visit Sion in the hospital. As she sat beside her unconscious niece, Han asked how many red threads she could see above her, but Hyun gently refused to answer. It felt too personal to share. The next day, Choi did something bold. She interrupted the music teacher's class and openly flirted with him. To her surprise and joy, a red thread finally appeared. It was the connection she had longed for. Elsewhere, John invited Han to a pool. She jumped in, forgetting she couldn't swim. He saved her, and afterward, she shared her secret about the glasses. John didn't doubt her. That night, she saw her first red thread form. It meant someone finally saw her too. Choi returned to the hotel and slipped back into her fantasy world. She discovered a peephole and began watching people in the next room. One evening, she saw the music teacher with another woman. The betrayal devastated her. When the woman came back alone, Choi attacked her, stole her dress, and drugged the teacher. When he arrived expecting a date, he found Choi, weak and confused. He tried to resist, but she killed him, then took her own life. Hyun discovered the bodies and called Han. She told him she had seen Choi with the glasses before. After the investigation, Han searched the room and found the glasses in the bathtub. He put them on, and everything came rushing back. He saw memories of Sion's birth, the pain of raising her alone after her parents died, and the depression that had followed. Now, the glasses revealed red threads everywhere, each one filled with emotion, guilt, or longing. At the station, he noticed a colleague had just one thread, while he was completely surrounded. The burden was heavier than he'd ever realized. Just then, a student arrived to file a harassment complaint. Back at school, Hyun finally felt like she belonged. Her friends planned a birthday party for her, the first one of her life. John even asked to meet before the party. For once, she felt hopeful. But late that night, another message arrived. It was from the same unknown number, and this time, it was an invitation to her own birthday party. They rush into the school together, but something feels wrong. Even though Hyun and Han are on the same floor, they can't see each other. Hyun discovers her friend tied up in a classroom. She quickly frees her, and they try to escape, but no matter which way they go, they always end up back in the same hallway, trapped in an endless loop. Frustrated and desperate, they decide to head upward, toward the roof. At the same time, Han finds himself in a cold, eerie room filled with lifeless mannequins. There, a woman named Moon reveals herself. She has been killing every man connected to her, cutting their red threads one by one. Moon's tragic backstory comes to light. Once a bright student betrayed by someone she loved, her private moments were leaked, shattering her life. Just when she was ready to give up, Lena appeared and gave her the glasses, promising revenge. With her new power, Moon methodically hunts down those who wronged her. She kills another man coldly right in front of Han, showing no remorse. Meanwhile, on the roof, Hyan's friend puts on a pair of glasses and, almost hypnotized, tells Hyan that if you die, your soul spreads and everyone can see your threads. Suddenly, she attacks Hyan. Desperate, Hyan tries to destroy the glasses, hoping to break the trance. Then Lena appears, bathed in moonlight and glowing with thousands of red threads. She holds Han's father hostage and challenges Han to finish him off, something Han has long struggled with. Han hesitates, but Lena takes the gun and kills his father herself. Lena turns to Han and declares, "You're next." Hyan steps in front of Han, trembling but brave, asking Lena why she's doing all this. Lena coldly explains that their gift is a blessing, but only she has the courage to use it fully. She believes revealing the truth is necessary, no matter the cost. Hyan rejects this, knowing that power without compassion only destroys. Lena lashes out, threads bursting from her body like lightning, ready to strike. Suddenly, Hyan's mother appears, sacrificing herself to protect her daughter. She reveals she also had the glasses and apologizes for leaving, telling Hyan it wasn't her fault what happened to her father. The world erupts into chaos, threads explode everywhere, then darkness. When Hyan wakes, she is in a hospital bed. The nightmare is over, Lena is gone, and the spell of the glasses is broken. But something has changed forever. Now everyone can see the red threads without needing glasses. The secret is out, and humanity must learn to live with this new reality. In the months that follow, John wakes from his coma. Hyan and Han begin healing their broken relationship. He slowly returns to many lives, yet Hyan chooses solitude. She walks away from the threads, from her past, hoping to find peace. One quiet afternoon, just when she thinks it's all finally over, she hears her name. She turns, and there stands Lena, alive. And that is how the story ends. Truth is messy, powerful, and sometimes painful, but it's always worth seeking. See you in the next story.